everybody, welcome back to Grow Garden Grow. Today I want to do a tour of my woodland garden, and it will be the first tour of my woodland garden on my channel. And I do have several plants out here, so I won't name every one of them because I will never get through this video. So let's go ahead and get started. So this area is the entrance to my woodland garden. That is an arbor that my husband built for me about 2 years ago. But that's not where the garden started. It started pretty much with this sweet drift rose right here. This was planted in 2019, probably late summer. And it's actually reaching over my head, and I'm 5'2". It's probably a good 5.5+ inches tall. And we know drift roses are labeled 1.5 to 2 feet tall, so it's really massive for a drift rose. This is the other drift rose, planted at the same time, and it's just about as tall as the sweet drift, reaching up here over my head. So we'll go back to the beginning where the arbor is and start from there. I have done so many renovations out here and added plants non-stop. My whole weekend from Friday through Sunday is out in either this garden or one of my other gardens. So this was planted from seed last spring. That's I believe common white yarrow, and I have a Tamukiyama Japanese maple that has been in the ground for 3 full years. Down here I have some plum pudding heucheras that I just added recently. And then on the arbor is the Confederate jasmine. And it's at peak bloom, and it smells so good. I have a Samaritan Joe clematis, which lost its leaves today, but it's up here. It's up here so far. So it should be filling out and blooming really good soon. I have an orange rocket barberry right here. Some amaryllis, there's some different colors in there, white, pink, and red. Just a little container with some snapdragons, and that is, I believe that's Blue Eyes Evolvulus. Down in there I have some yellow lantana. It gets massive. And I just planted a Annabelle hydrangea. I've never had one. I just got that about 3 weeks ago. I had to dig out a stump. When we cleared this whole area out, it was full of trees. We cleared it out in 2019, and it was just left with dirt. So this was all empty except for this right here was a huge tree that my husband cut down because it was pretty much dead. But the stump finally this year decayed to the point where I was able to get most of it out. Some daylilies. 3 blush pink nandinas down here. They get vibrant red in the fall through the winter. Some autumn brilliance fern. Some ivy that I probably should not have let get. It was in a container, and I probably should not have let it get into the ground because now it's really hard for me to get rid of. I pull it up and then more appears. This little chair, I'm sorry, I found at my late mother-in-law's in her shed, and I painted it, and I just thought it was the perfect spot, perfect color to go with my secret garden door that my husband built for me about 2 years ago. And it does open. And I actually made some steps with some pavers that you can walk down into. Hopefully there's no spiders here. But there's these little steps that walk down. And I've got little trails out through there, but really can't plant anything because when it floods, all the water rushes down there. And it becomes a huge mess, so I can't plant anything down in there, sadly. It would have been a really awesome woodland garden. Have some more Confederate jasmine growing up because I wanted it to cover the top of this and kind of hide it. Down here I have 4 Fairy Trail Bride hydrangeas. They have been in the ground for a full year, maybe a year and a half. So I'm hoping that the roots eventually will establish themselves enough that they'll start putting some growth on, because they really haven't put much growth on since I've planted them. Over on this side I have some caladiums. Don't recall the name, maybe candidum. Foxtail fern, a little bitty one there, and 2 bigger ones there. These are, I can't remember if they're August moon or stained glass hostas. That is a variegated stromanth, I believe. Variegated ginger. Then I have some canna lilies back here. An emerald green arborvitae that is not growing much. Maybe not getting enough sunlight. It gets morning sun. I have a bird of paradise in the container. It was destroyed by the wind. The leaves were all torn up. Another little foxtail fern in the back. I'll have to put the name of this. It's a split leaf. It's not a philodendron. It get labeled philodendron, but they changed the name to some crazy long word, so I'll put the name of it on the screen. That came from my late mother-in-law's place as well. She had it in this huge animal container. It was like a horse feed container or something, and so it's been in the ground for, well, since she passed in 2022, so it's been in the ground for almost 2 years. And so it comes back every year. It dies back when we have freezes. And I have some purple oxalis down there. Down here I have some, I think it's called Orange King Coleus. And these are something campfire. Charged up campfire. Just planted these Coleus. They're starting to take off. More hostas. Not quite sure which one those are. They maybe the stained glass. I can't recall which one's which. Right here I have a Kusa dogwood. I have not yet seen it put any flowers on, but it's finally starting to put on some really good growth. We had a severe drought last year and it lost all of its leaves, and then it started putting more growth on after the drought finally ended, and then the cold got the leaves because it had some really young leaves on it. Right here I have a coral double knockout rose. I'll go around to the other side and show that. And we'll walk back around here. I'll show these plants when I do my raised bed garden tour. I don't have a lot of things growing in there yet. Right here I have another amaryllis that's getting ready to open. And there's another yellow lantana. This is a angel wing begonia, I believe. I think the name of it is Alana. And it did really good out in my garden last year. I had it over there, was getting a little more sun, so I moved it over here. I brought it in during the winter because I believe that, they can't survive below freezing temperatures, so it was inside. This is Blue Wonder Tricertus. 3 of those, I bought those as bare root. Haven't seen those bloom yet. Down here's a peacock moss, also called a fern, although it's not in the fern family. It's just not looking very good at all. I may have to replace it. And a hosta, and here's my double knockout coral. Blooms are pretty much all done. It's not very vibrant. I can't find any fresh blooms on it to show you. Some autumn brilliance ferns. They're doing wonderful, getting really big. Right there I have a heartthrob hydrangea, and it looks like it's getting ready. Well, it's getting close to blooming. It's got some buds coming up on it. And a purple fountain grass that's been there for this will be its 3rd spring coming out. It's very slow to come back out of the ground for some reason. This bed is full of caladiums, pretty much the same as this right here. There may be some other variations in here, but most of them are this. And I think it may be called watermelon something hydrangea. Watermelon caladium, sorry. But I have more coming out. They're going to be popping up all over in here. I'm not quite sure how many I've got in here, but there are a lot. So right here I have a hibiscus. I believe it's something like Hawaiian sunset. And I have some dianthus in here, some pentas. Over here, some penstemon that I've put in not too long ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Some dahlias that I planted from bare root. Those are the Tahiti sunrise. And right there is a rhododendron, a Southgate rhododendron. I believe the name of that one is Radiance, and it's starting to put some buds on. I have some, well, I had 2 more hostas here, but I can't find any evidence of them coming back. One right there. I think that's called Big Blue Boy or something like that. This bed had some Dutch irises in there. I cut them back recently. This is a Adrian's Compact Japanese Maple. I just got this 2 days ago at a garden show in Covington, Louisiana. I decided to put it in a pot because I can't find anywhere out here that I think it'll be healthy. The ground is not really good out here. The drainage isn't that great. Also through here, talking about drainage, it floods really bad all the way through here. I had to build up this area about 4 inches because the water just sits. And I dug a trench all the way around through here to the front of this bed. And I laid some corrugated pipe underneath of here, and it runs out here. And it goes down in there. You can see at the gully where it washes really bad. But there's the pipe where it comes out of. And yes, I did that entire project myself. And I did it. I worked in the rain. On Sundays I worked in the rain, and I was muddy and wet. But it does help the water drain faster. This is the yellow lantana. This one's more of a creeping lantana. Where that other one right there, it actually gets pretty tall. Probably 3 feet. And I have another one of the split leaf philodendrons. I'm not quite sure what the name is. It's really hard to say. There's a Triostar stromanth. It's a tropical plant as well. It does die back. It's starting to come back finally, very slowly. I have another emerald green arborvitae back there, banana plants. These are some salmon, I think it's called Salmon King straw flower. I planted those by seed. Early on, I had them in my garage. So I started those at the end of January, and it looks like something is gnawing away at that one. And it looks like they're chewing on the leaves as well. And these are Dalmatian Peach Foxglove that I also grew from seed in containers. And they look like they're putting a little bit of growth on. I'm not sure, I'm not very familiar with foxglove, so I heard that they could possibly bloom by the end of the season if they were planted early enough, but we shall see. It may not be till next year. These are some, let me see what the name of these are. Rose Mint, Agastache. I got these 3 little plants from a garden show in Baton Rouge about 3 weeks ago. This is a jubilation gardenia, and it's been in the ground for a couple of years. It's starting to put some buds on. Those smell wonderful. I have some climbing phoenix nasturtiums. Hopefully they'll grow up that trellis. I planted several of those from seed, and I thought that the picture of them looked beautiful. I also put some of those in my garden bed in the back of my house, and so I didn't want to toss them, so I put them out here. And there's some purple echinacea that I planted from roots last year. No, actually those were seed. I potted those up in seeds last year, so hopefully they'll bloom this year because I didn't do anything last year. This is a nightlight Chamaecyparis. Another emerald green arborvitae. I have the emerald greens lined up because I was trying to add some evergreen color back here along this woodland area. And they're extremely slow growing, so it may be a while before I get any of that evergreen back here. This is an English dogwood, which I did show in my rose tour. We have some Gara. This is rainbow sherbet celosia that I planted from seed as well. I have another bird of paradise in the ground. I believe that's a white bird of paradise. I have not yet seen them bloom. I don't know if they're just not getting enough sun. This is a forever goldie. I planted this probably 2 years ago, and within 2 weeks of planting it, something peed on it. I'm assuming it was a stray dog or a male cat. I don't know, but something peed on it, and it pretty much ate all of the foliage up. So I was so disappointed, and I don't see it. It's not getting any prettier looking. It looks pretty bad. Down here I have some agapanthus. I believe these are just Lady of the Nile, Lily of the Nile, something like that. It has a bud on it, so that one shall be blooming soon. These are dwarf jazz hands. They're not the variegated, it's just I guess it's just the purple. I have the variegated jazz hands in my backyard. Let me make sure I can get it to focus. Doesn't want to focus. Yeah, jazz hands mini, not dwarf, jazz hands mini. Have some spirea back there. That gardenia is called a foolproof gardenia. Some ferns. This bench my husband built for me about 2 years ago, and I painted it. It could use a power washing. There's a kitty right there. His name is Absalom. I call him Abby. I found him actually in the woods back by my barn, way back there. Found him in the woods last September when I came home from visiting my family. And he was so malnourished, and now he is just the sweetest kitty. I have sorry, let me come over here. Spirea right here. It's still surprisingly blooming. It's been blooming for probably a good 3 weeks, maybe 4. It is still putting buds on. I'm surprised. And a white verbena. I don't know the name other than it's white. This is part of my rose garden, so I'm probably not going to go over this section over here, so we'll just go back over here. And somebody just knocked down a little statue. Let's go back over on this side. I told you I wasn't going to name all these plants, and here I am naming these plants off. And here I have a popstar hydrangea. It did bloom last year, and it was very pretty. I had never seen one of these before until last year, and it's actually starting to put on some color. Popstar. And that one is a Nico blue hydrangea, and it is also starting to bloom out. Over here, I have some more of the Orange King coleus. That's a Lomandra. Let me make sure. Platinum Beauty Lomandra grass. Some more Nandinas. Those are the blush pink. They don't do very good out here. They've been out here this will be their 3rd year, and they're not doing well. I'm not sure if it's the soil, to be honest with you. A hibiscus in a container that came from my late mother-in-law's place. Back here I have some Obsession Nandinas. The same, I think it's the soil. Some things just don't do well out here. I mean, they're living, but they're not very full. They're pretty slender looking. They're tall and skinny, and I don't think that's what they're supposed to look like. I just think the soil out here is really, really bad. Until it starts to get better with decomposition from the leaves and the pine straw, and I guess it'll just really be bad soil for a while. Back there, I just have some, I think those are tick seed or coreopsis. I have 3 of those planted against that log that I had my husband drag that out of the woods down by our creek. It was covered in moss and it was just absolutely beautiful. I said that has to be in my woodland garden, but it is now starting to decompose some. Down here I have 2 scent amazing gardenias, and they filled out last year with so many flowers and they smell wonderful. This is I believe a Globosa Nana Cryptomeria. It also is very slow at putting on much growth due to the soil, I'm assuming. Right here I have 3 of these grasses. Those are the pink mully grass. 2 more blush pink nandinas. Some verbena. I had another one in that spot and it died. That's why that spot's empty. I'll have to find something else to put there. This is I believe a little Henry spirea, and it has its little flowers on it. So pretty. This turns a crimson red in the fall. That was actually why I bought it. I didn't buy it for the flowers. I bought it for the fall color. Right here I have some crocosmia. It's red and orange looking. I don't remember the name. Something to do with Satan or the devil. Crazy name, I know. Just don't remember what it was. Some blue eyes of ovulus down here. I had several along this line, and it looks like they all died, but the one on the very corner and one right here. This, I believe, is called Miss Molly butterfly bush, and it's just, it hasn't done so great either. It does flower. As you can see, it's starting to put some buds on, but it's just not doing so great out here. I'm going to leave it though, because I have nowhere to put all these plants that aren't doing great, so they're staying where they are. This is a blue star, I believe juniper. It's a juniper. I could be wrong about the name. And I have some stonecrop sedum under there. Right here we have a bloodgood Japanese maple. It's also kind of slow at putting on any growth, but it looks like it's doing good. I mean, it looks healthy. It was kind of small when I planted it, probably 3 feet tall. So it's about 6 feet now. It's doing okay, I suppose. And right here I have some more of the agapanthus. I just planted this one. I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like over here in my rose garden area. But I have some agapanthus growing. This was labeled Smarsgard something arborvitae. It's actually, from what I could see when I actually looked it up, it's still an emerald green arborvitae, but maybe it's just a slight different variation of the emerald green. And right here I have some dahlia mix flowers. These were planted from bare root as well. Haven't seen them bloom yet. And down here I have some Shasta daisies. They've been in there a few years, maybe 3. They're looking wonderful. They're actually multiplying. Right here, I believe these are the Nymphophea red hot poker. I planted those before I even did this rose garden on this side, so they're kind of out of place. I'll probably pull those up in the fall. And I have a little dwarf Joe Pye weed that's really slow at coming back out of the ground. This is, I believe it's called Rose Creek Abelia, and it did lose a lot of leaves. They're supposed to be evergreen, but it did lose a lot of leaves, and I think it was actually because our drought was so bad last year, but I can see that it's putting on lots of growth down in there. And right here is a bunch of orange daylilies. I believe down here they're called ditch lilies, but to me they're beautiful, so I like them right there. That's where it floods, it gets really wet. They seem to do good right there. Right here on the edge is some milkweed that's finally starting to come out. And yes, I do get monarchs out here. there is some more purple echinacea that I transplanted from another area in my garden, and it's putting on a lot of new growth, lots of flower heads. Did not have this many last year. It just wasn't doing well. I guess it was the transplant shock. And in this area is where the water floods as well. Even though I did build it up some, it still floods right there. Those are I believe those are called Louisiana irises. They're I've never seen them bloom. I moved those from my area over here, way up there in the shade. They were not getting enough sunlight, and it's very dry up in that area. So I moved them out here. So I'm hoping maybe they'll flower, if not this year, next year. And then I have over here some more of the lilies. These are the yellow ones, and I'm not sure what the name of these are, but they're pretty much the same as those orange ones, same style. Some more of this verbena down in here. This is another Little Henry spirea. These are some more of the orange ditch lilies. And I can see that they are starting to overcome my walkway right here, so I'll probably end up having to remove several of those to get them out of the way. I don't want them taking over. And I'll walk back over here. I want to show my fountain. It wasn't running. This is on a solar water pump. So I built this. I dug an area out and installed a container down in there. Just laid some mesh over top of it to lay the rocks on. And I can enjoy a little man-made waterfall as I sit out here, which doesn't happen very often because I'm usually working out here. I don't take enough time to enjoy. But I really love this addition to my woodland garden. And I think it just looks pretty natural for being man-made. These are some more of the Louisiana irises, and I did see a couple flowers on this one. Already spent. Didn't bloom as much as I was hoping it would, but I did get to see some flowers. And then some more of these some of these yellow lilies. I don't know which ones, what the actual name is. Right here I have a dwarf Alberta spruce. I just planted that a couple of months ago. I had one in my front garden bed in front of my house that got too much sun, and last year the drought literally burned it up to a crisp. I even tried to cover it with a shield, something to protect it from the sun, and it was too late. The heat and the sun killed it. There's my little garden friend, Abby. He loves to hang out here when I'm working. Right here I have some Sweet Caroline Gorbea daisy. And these are, I believe, vintage Ruffles daylily. And behind it is supposed to be blackberries and cream daylily, but the coloring doesn't quite look the same. The markings look the same, but the coloring looks different from what the package showed. Those have been in the ground for 2 years. They didn't bloom last year at all. So I may be wrong, but I don't think that's really what the label said. And you see I do have a lot of this purple oxalis planted all over. I just think it's really pretty. It usually gets most shade, but this is the sun starting to go down, so it's in a spot where it's getting a little bit of sun. But they do fine out here. Right here I have a yellow hibiscus. It's been in the ground for 3 years. Very slow coming back, but it does fill out and bloom. By the time it actually blooms, it's probably the end of the summer, honestly. I have another one of those climbing phoenix nasturtiums. Little Gorbea daisy down in there, starting to put a little bit of little growth on. Right here I have an H.F. Young hibiscus. I'm sorry, an H.F. Young clematis. I got hibiscus on the brain. The blooms are huge on these. You can see how big this bloom is. It's as big as my hand or bigger. This is a rose that was in a huge container for the last 5 years. We finally brought that here from our old camp. Put it in the ground last fall, and it's putting on a lot of growth but not a lot of flowers. And it does get a good amount of sun during the day. It has some flowers down here in the back. I don't know the name of this one. I bought it probably 6 or 7 years ago. And I bought this recently. This is called Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes Salvia. I've wanted one of these for a long time, and they finally had one in where I went to the nursery. Don't remember which nursery it was, but I snatched it up. Down here I have some creeping phlox, and looks like it's done blooming. These are Sweet Memories, Gerbera daisies. They've been in the ground as well as long as the Sweet Caroline, and they're doing fantastic as well. I have a Limelight Prime hydrangea, and these are called Oriental Mixed Lilies. I planted these from bulb as well, and these little bitty ones, they're the same age, but they're not taking off very well. And this one is slow as well, putting on some buds, but these have bloomed out beautifully. A little birdhouse that I don't think anything's making a home in, and my husband put a bluebird house up for me as well. It was a little gift, and I have not seen any bluebirds in it. I've seen bluebirds in all of our other birdhouses except for this one, and my husband says it's probably because of the little mischief maker. Where did he go? Well, all right, let's walk through here. I'm going to go and show the front of this bed. I have some more purple echinacea, and then back behind this crabapple tree I have some dark pink, I think it's called pink Belize Gara, and it does kind of throw off some of these crazy tall shoots, about 4 feet tall, but that's been in the ground. This will be its third spring coming up. It's been in the ground about 2.5 years, but it's doing wonderful. And then I have some, I think that's called Ocean Sally Blue Salvia. These come back for me as well. I can leave them out here during the winter and they just come right back. And this is some denim and lace Russian sage. I got this while I was visiting family in Oklahoma. I don't know how well it's going to do down here. I bought it last September, and it did survive the winter. It's doing fine, I suppose, but I'm waiting for it to put some growth on. And these are some little Love in a Mist seedlings that I planted. Love in a Mist, Mist Jekyll or Jekyll. I'm not sure which way it's pronounced. Some people say Jekyll, some people say Jekyll. This is some bee balm. I don't remember the specific variety, if there is a variety of bee balm. But this is the second year in the ground. I read it takes 2 years for bee balm to flower, so it should be flowering this year. It's actually multiplied considerably. I'm excited to see what that looks like. And I have an open spot where a lantana died back during our freeze. Also have some pentas. I may replace those. It looks like they're slow to come back as well. So I do have some open area out here I can put some more flowers in. And this I grew from seed as well. This is the king size salmon straw flower. And back here I have an Althea. And this has the most amazing color. It's starting to put its buds on. Let me see, I remember the name of this one. I do have a label. Aphrodite. Aphrodite Althea, Rose of Sharon. So let's walk back over this way. Right here I have I believe it's an iceberg rose. I had this against my house and it was pretty much all shade, so it wasn't doing anything. I put it out here and it put some growth on, but it's just really not the prettiest rose, to be honest. It loses a lot of leaves. I don't think, maybe it's just not getting enough sun now because the trees are starting to fill out. And maybe I already said that, I'm not sure. This is a penny mac hydrangea. It did put on some really pretty blue flowers last year. And down here, well, I guess it's everywhere, with hydrangeas, the pink and blue ones, you have to make the soil acidic if they don't turn blue. But for some reason down here, I must have really acidic soil. All of mine turn blue without having to amend the soil. Let's see, I have some white diamond to still be planted right here. And it looks like there's a little flower head on that one. Some more of the caladiums back there. And here's my rhododendron. I think it's called Radiance. It's going to bloom. It's a beautiful color. And then the Tahiti sunrise dahlias I planted from bare root. Looks like it's going to bloom soon. Bearded a penstemon. Really pretty. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be floppy like that. I'm not a real skilled on penstemon. It's the first ones I've actually ever put in my garden. Down here I have some more rainbow sherbet celoseas. I did seed quite a few and they germinated really good for me. And I have some frosted vintage ruffles daylilies. They've already bloomed a few times. These back here are the final touch, and got a little flower head coming up on this one. Around this tree I've got some of the pink Belize Gara. Not much going on over here. My husband actually just mounded up some soil and I threw some flowers in there a couple years ago. They seem to be doing okay in the soil. It's not the best soil, to be honest, but they seem to do okay right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick walkthrough of everything to finish off this tour. Oh, but before I do that, I forgot to mention this is a crepe myrtle. We have several out here. And this one is a kind of a purplish, it's like a deep lavender color. Very, very pretty. It blooms sometime around June, I believe. So let's go ahead and just do a walkthrough of all of this so that you can see it all. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to do a tour through the rose garden, but there are several in bloom right now, so I thought I'd just go do a quick walk through. Okay everybody, I hope that you enjoyed the tour through my woodland garden. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Also, please like and subscribe. This is a very new channel, and I hope that you find time to relax in your garden. All right, goodbye guys.